speechless. If we danced to move our bodies along the shapes of the wood, we would twist and stretch and jab and ripple until our torsos tied. We wouldn't remember how to uncurl the knots under our bark. We would wait, take deep breaths from the tops of our skulls to the arches of our feet. The dust would settle on our toes. Eventually, someone would lift a shoulder and fall away in a backbend. One by one, we'd follow suit, untwirling, sliding, retracting our branches, until we landed back in our sweet animal skin. And the next piece I'd like to share with you is To Persecute the Trickster. Nocturne number 19, Opus 72 in E minor by Chopin, pulls the breath out of my chest. When I hear it played, I feel the warm strike of the hammer against the string, the resonance in the belly of the piano, and I long for each resolution. My fingers ache to press into the keys and follow the same dance, right hand stretching in sweet six to cry back to the deep running left hand. Far from Chopin, sleeping under the stars in the American West, I feel the same longing, though more raw and visceral, in the lullaby howl of the coyote. On lucky nights, I bed down along one of their borders, and they yip and bark and croon me in and out of sleep. The howl of the coyote is one of the more romantic nuances of this landscape, but the coyote himself is not so well loved. Once the trickster god, he is now a plentiful pest romping through the West. The coyote is incompatible with livestock, and his face is etched into saloon-style wanted posters and painted criminal. Although coyotes aren't often a great threat to cattle, as wolves can be, they can make a quick meal of sheep. Coyote killing is a regular duty on many ranches as pest control. This duty extends beyond the individual landowner, however, and is the main calling of the USDA Wildlife Services, which has practiced lethal methods far more complex than simple point and shoot for the past 100 years. Compound 1080, sodium fluoroacetate, is a vertebrate pesticide. Corrosive upon contact, it burns ulcers internally and externally. The compound inhibits respiration at the cellular level. The body tries to function without the transport of energy and oxygen. Headache grows to dizziness, to weakness, to labored breathing, and gradually induces vomiting, irregular heart rhythms, convulsions, coma, and finally death. This compound is associated with a collar specially designed by Wildlife Services for the extirpation of coyotes. Fastened around the necks of sheep, the collar cradles 1080 in a small box at the throat of the woolly prey, where a coyote bite for an effective kill. The chemical is activated by the moisture of the coyote's tongue and the warm blood of a sheep and enters the bloodstream of both. After the bloody business occurs, Wildlife Services is technically required to search for the bodies of poisoned prey and predator. However, less than 10% of coyote carcasses are ever located. 1080, a highly stable compound, does not decay. It spreads, sticks. It takes passage from carcasses to scavengers along the food chain. Once the chemical is released, it can kill far more than the intended predator. USDA Wildlife Services began in 1931 as the federally funded Animal Damage Control Program, which, quote, officially authorized the eradication, suppression, or control of creatures injurious to agricultural and animal husbandry, end quote. The deaths caused by Wildlife Services in 1990 list off like a mammalian genocide. 91,158 coyote, 8,144 skunk, 9,363 beaver, 25 river otter, 7,065 fox, and unintended damage of 5,759 non-target creatures. In all, nearly 1 million individual organisms were killed that year. In 2008, 90,000 coyotes were snared, aerially gunned, poisoned, or fumigated in their dens. 90,000. This is 20 times the population of my hometown. I imagine the suburb homes, the mountain cabins, the farmhouses of my growing up transforming into coyote dens. The grade schoolers across from the small town airport shift into pup fur, tumbling and yipping around swing sets. My now canine town swells 20 times its size, rolling over mountains, and then it dies. Pelts are slumped over the wooden chairs at my favorite coffee shop. Paw prints along hiking trails and railroad tracks all end in a quiet pile of fur. In 1 year, 90,000. This number represents only the federally supported ventures and doesn't account for the side kills for recreation and personal livestock protection, estimated by some organizations to total to 400,000 coyote annually. Wildlife services and most gun-owning individuals of the rural West have been working at full force since the 30s to try and control the coyote, but the trickster canine reproduces defiantly. The point of a rifle barrel is stretching the womb of the western coyote in the attempt to extirpate it from the landscape. Undisturbed, coyotes mate and birth once a year. When persecuted, coyotes respond with compensatory reproduction. Their population explodes. And not only does the number of litters double or triple under heavy hunting, but the number of females ovulating leaps from half of the mature population to all females. Coyotes and humans are chasing each other in circles. The faster we kill, the faster and more effectively coyote will reproduce. There may be another option that would require the absence of human hands from coyote's pelt. In Yellowstone National Park, 2 years after the reintroduction of wolves in 1995, the coyote population decreased by half due to wolf aggression. Whereas all human efforts seem only to stress the coyote towards a population explosion, the presence of wolves diminishes the coyote's resources. Wolves kill and drive off coyote near their hunting grounds, territory, and carcasses that coyote would otherwise scavenge. In reintroducing wolves to the West, we open a door for a natural balance between predator species. Perhaps the wolf could actually benefit agricultural communities by controlling coyote depredation and allowing us to rein in the toxic practices of wildlife services. Coyote could cease to fill the role of pest and slip back into her path of the trickster, whom we still haven't learned not to tangle with.